Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Figures is out. Also, the V-Team takes a look at rotten Senate leadership. And we have a very special announcement.
Attention, everyone. This is an emergency broadcast. The unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake. Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go so that you can make the sound we broadcast as loud as possible.
Roy Moore is running!
All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome.
Hi, Bill and
Hello.
Bob.
Hello.
Yeah, so nice to have you. Y'all made me look good last week, you know, and I appreciate that.
It was a good show.
It was a very
Really
good
nice
show.
show.
Good show. Beth, I've been saying it for almost 2 years now. Run, Roy, run.
Yeah, we'll have a second term for Senator Jones. I'm very excited about
I
it.
thought you'd be happy about that. But now, seriously, Roy Moore is running for the U.S. Senate. It's a do-over for him. I think it's a revenge run because he this week came out and said that Richard Shelby was the reason he lost the last time. He also said that he is running again, and he's putting himself out there, Susan.
He is, as again, he and Shelby are swapping swords here over this, but he's got his base, and that base is going to stick with him regardless of the election, regardless of the office. So why not?
He really does. I've seen them already. They're coming out on social media in full support of him, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, I think the big question here is what is the GOP establishment going to do? I mean, because the Senate, the National Senate Committee that raises money for Senate candidates has said they are not going to provide Roy Moore with money. President Donald Trump has said that he'd rather he not run, he shouldn't run, Donald Trump Jr. I don't think anything matters to Roy Moore except what Roy Moore thinks.
And what Jesus is telling him to do, of course, that matters.
You're going to get me shot, aren't you?
Maybe. Well, no, we were talking pre-show about this, and we were saying that, I think last time the GOP establishment, I think it was obvious, was all behind Luther Strange. And I think Terry Lathan got a little bamboozled at their primary process because nobody wanted Roy Moore to get it, and lo and behold, he got it. I don't think she's going to get bamboozled again. But I also think that she will lose as chair if they lose this seat a second time in a general election when the president's on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she lost it the first time, and you could point to the story in the Washington Post about the young girls that Roy dated when he was a 27, 30-year-old man, one alleged inappropriate touching. But you can link it to that. I mean, and Charlie, $100 million in free media coverage, all negative towards Roy Moore.
It's all been completely negative. And honestly, I was shocked that he decided to run again. But like you said, I genuinely believe it's a revenge run.
Yeah.
But his portrayal in the media for so long was just, I honestly didn't think he'd ever come back from it.
Yeah, well, and listen, one thing we know about Roy Moore is he doesn't quit.
No, he doesn't
Or
quit.
some
Never
might
has.
say he doesn't know when to quit.
It's true, too.
We looked at some poll numbers that just are breathtaking. Beth, now, the latest polls that we've seen several of them, and they do, in fact, and this was before Judge Moore announced his run, is that he has got 30%, 36% of the vote right now and leads in the GOP field. Not
Right.
surprising, is it?
It's not, but it's the same 36% that he has always had, he always will have, because they are the same people running around with the Keep the 10 Commandments stickers on their trucks, and they're not moving. Now, I think there's two factors here at play. One of those is how much overlap with Jim Ziegler's base is also Roy Moore's base, and what does that do in a primary? And I think the second thing is, who is the GOP establishment going to get behind? Because the second place in the polls I've seen, they ain't backing Governor Bentley. Gee, ugh.
Yeah, I
Can't do
mean,
it.
Governor Bentley, Charlie.
But he's got 29%.
29%.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Do you
And it's
people
name
really
ID.
want the love gov back? Is that what you want?
Do you want the Love Gov and Mud Cricket in D.C.?
I mean, what did you call that? How to make how to make Alabama
Gag again?
gag again? Yeah. Robert Bentley running second in the polls that we've seen.
But it's got to be name ID, though,
Yeah,
right?
it
Bill?
is.
Like,
It
it's
is.
got to be
Personally.
just people know the name and they push it, but nobody ever wants to say, I don't know who I'm voting for, because they feel uninformed when they say that. So they pick a name they know and go with
I mean, I
it.
saw
But then
one.
you really show your ignorance
I mean-
by picking Bentley on that one.
Right? There you go.
I mean, but it just shows how forgiving the Alabama people are.
Okay, forgiving
You either
word
say
for it.
dumb or but,
Anyway.
but here's the interesting thing: Bradley Byrne, Tommy Tuberville, Arnold Mooney, all those other guys are either in the low teens. I mean, just barely breaking into the teens or below. I mean, I saw some phony poll that Tuberville put out on himself that said he was leading in the field, and they admitted in the poll that it was his pollster. I mean, you know, I could put out a poll tomorrow. I could hire somebody to put out a poll tomorrow that Charlie is running neck and neck with President Donald Trump. Doesn't make it true.
Right. Quick internal poll. Who is supporting Tommy Tuberville? It looks like he has 0% of support in the Alabama
I would
electorate.
rather them run a
person.
poll on how many people know who he is.
Well, he was
I
the
wanna
Auburn
see that.
football coach.
I know. but
Okay,
even
okay.
still-
Not an Auburn
even-
fan, I apologize.
But even still, people.
Hey, half the people in Auburn still don't like you. You know?
He's a liar. He
Yeah.
just lies all the time. And he was
So-
a birther, and we're over that.
You know, but look, I think, Bradley Byrne would do a good job. I think that the hard right certainly loves Arnold Mooney. Of course, unfortunately, and I've known Bradley Byrne for a long time, I feel like there's some invasion of the body snatchers.
I agree.
That's occurred.
I agree.
I don't know who this Bradley Byrne is. He's not the guy that ran for governor in 2010.
No, he's certainly not.
Different kind of guy
Very
altogether.
disappointing.
I think that what Moore does is he shatters that field. I mean, he just
Right.
and he if the field stays the way it is now, there will be a runoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's
Well,
certainly will
Because,
be.
yeah, because he'll keep his 34%.
Yeah.
And then if you have 10 candidates splitting the other 2/3 of the vote, he's untouchable.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless somebody else gets in the race who could compete with him.
Yeah, that's the only hope.
That's the only
That
hope
is the
there.
only hope. We're going to have to leave it right there. We're going to tell you when we come back who else is getting in the race.
Dun,
You're
dun,
watching
dun.
the V, the voice of Alabama politics.
You've always dreamed of owning a home and investing in your community, but where do you start? Ask a local realtor about Alabama's new first-time homebuyer savings account. If you're looking to buy your first home or are re-entering the market after 10 years, contact your realtor to learn how to set up a tax-free savings account at any Alabama financial institution. Savings of up to $50,000 can be used as your down payment or towards closing costs. The first step on the road to home ownership. Let us help you get there.
Hey man, what are you doing today?
Play the game. Thought I'd go out for a drive later, maybe. Text some friends while I'm doing it. Scroll through social media. Kill a family 4 and a head on Collision.
Cool, man.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
A lot can change in 5 years. Except those smile lines you treated with Bellafill. Because that's about how long Bellafill will keep them smooth and filled. 5 years. Now you can always look your best without all those injections, appointments, and costs. Bellafill is the only dermal filler that stimulates and maintains collagen growth long term. Now time is on your side.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, we learned towards the end of the week that Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill paid his filing fees. Now, you have to pay your filing fees to run for the U.S. Senate. Once you reach a certain threshold, you either spend $5,000 or raise $5,000. We heard from insiders in John Merrill's camp this last week. He was in D.C.
He was. And he has a press conference coming up on Tuesday, I believe. I think it's at 10 o'clock at the Capitol.
10 o'clock at the Capitol, what we understand. I would say...
Getting suspicious here.
I would say John Merrill's running, wouldn't you say?
I think it sounds like he's running. Now, I consider John Merrill a friend, and I catch a little flack from my friends on the left for considering John Merrill a friend, but I do. And I sent him a text when I heard he was thinking about running, and I said, we really need you to run for governor. We do not need you in the Senate race. Doug's got it covered. Please run for governor. And I don't think he's going to take my advice, and I don't blame him for not taking my advice.
But, and anybody who actually knows John Merrill, and we've heard it from several of our crew, we don't want him to leave the state. But if he's going to leave the state,
well,
this is a good way to do it.
I tell you this, and Charlie, you and I have talked about it quite a bit, is that John Merrill, he has visited all 67 counties twice that we know of. He is likable. And he has done a great job as Secretary of State.
He is just one of the most upstanding men I have met working in our, state government. He is absolutely fascinating. But something I thought was really funny, if I can swap over a little bit. If you look at the election result from 2018, I thought it was just a little funny, and this is, going on John Merrill's likability. He actually got more votes than Kay Ivey did. She only garnered 59.6% of the vote, and he had 61.1% of the vote.
That says a lot.
And I thought that said a lot.
Yeah, plus he's won 2 statewide elections.
He has.
He's likable, he's very good on the camera, and he's not crazy.
But that's why he can't go to Washington.
I know.
He fit in there. But also, he has run, I don't have the numbers in front of me on it, but I know that he has saved money in the Secretary of State's office.
God.
He has made it run more like a business in all the right ways.
No.
And there have been times when I've called the main line just to ask a question. He answers the phone.
Yeah.
He does.
No, I know
And
a lot
that's who we need as a governor.
I know a lot of Democrats give him grief over the voting rights here in Alabama. He has nothing to, but he can only carry out what the legislature has done, and he has made voting easier every turn that he can.
I got to take issue with these people that talked about him and the voting rights. John Merrill has a team of people in his office that will come to your home and register you to vote in your living room.
Give you your photo ID right there.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, I think he would be a great senator from Alabama. I also agree he would be a great governor. I think the same thing about Will Ainsworth. Before we leave this topic, I want to say that one of the things that interests me is that he is 10 years younger than all the other candidates in the field. We are going to be, if we don't elect someone like Merrill, we're going to be sending men who are 62, 65, 66 years old to the Senate, where they will have no seniority until they've been there many, many, many years.
It takes at least 30 years. What, Shelby's been there 35
Shelby's
now?
been there my whole life.
Yeah. And I mean, and now he's chairman of the appropriations,
Yeah.
but it took him a while to get his.
Well, it's all based on seniority. It's
yeah, and if you
not-
elect somebody that's 60, where they're going to be 90?
Real quick,
Yes.
if Jeff Sessions jumps into the race, that could be the wild card, but maybe not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it could be.
It could be.
It could.
And I mean, it's been rumored for a while.
I don't know. All those Trump-Stiltskin people, they think that he screwed over the dear leader or something, and so I don't know.
But he's still popular here. He's not as popular as he was. But it's a
And his name ID is through the roof.
yeah.
So
And you know
And he
what?
can fundraise.
And
Yeah,
he
oh,
can
yeah.
fundraise. And the other thing is, he gets all his seniority back if Mitch McConnell decides to give it to him. And I've been saying all along, if it looks like Mitch McConnell, the majority leader of the Senate, has to spend $13 million to win a Senate race in Alabama, he's going to throw in this wild card if he can.
I would bet
Unless
so.
we can make
All
him
right.
the minority leader.
Last week we did a segment on the LGBTQ segment about, and I got some calls on that, and they weren't so friendly and all that. And all I have to say that these are news topics, and these are important issues of our time. This last week we did a story at APR that showed, a survey showed that 20%, Charlie, of LGBTQ youths have tried to commit suicide, have tried to attempt suicide in this last year.
they have, and this is something that's extremely, extremely close to my heart, and it's completely disgusting that the bullying and even what we discussed last week, how sex education, they teach homophobia is a crime. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again, you cannot do that to impressionable youth at this age. You absolutely cannot. And I just want to say something that Jessa, the girl who wrote this article, she wrote, 2 in 3 LGBTQ youth surveyed said that someone tried to convince them to change their sexual orientation or gender identity using conversion therapy in certain cases. Why? Does someone want to tell me why?
And another disturbing statistic here is 39% of those surveyed had considered suicide. These are children, okay? Leave the LGBTQ question out of it. These are our children. We have got to do something to protect them from this.
Well, the Trevor Project does these surveys. They also do a lot to help these young people.
They do great work.
They do an excellent job. The interesting thing, just this past April, Nigel Shelby, a freshman in Huntsville, committed suicide after he was bullied over his sexual
We're talking
orientation.
about a 15, 16-year-old child.
14, 15, 16. No matter how you feel, if your church teaches something totally different, we must love our children no matter who they are. You cannot be pro-life and be against children. And we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. When you come back, we're going to look at how rotten it is in the Senate.
What a great opportunity for your success. Adding 500,000 highly skilled employees to our workforce by 2025 is how we stay ahead in Alabama. Our economy is stronger than it's been in years, and a skilled workforce is more important than ever. Things move fast, so choose your path. Your success is waiting, plus a great future for Alabama. Success Plus. Go for it.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. Access to clean, affordable energy continues to be an issue of vital importance in the halls of government and around the kitchen tables across our nation. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
What are you doing today, babe?
I thought I'd head down to the lake with the guys, do a little fishing. Of course, none of us will be wearing our seatbelts. I'll lose control of the truck, wrap it around a tree, and kill us all.
Okay.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, we've covered these stories over the course of the session, but it's really crystallized, in my mind at least, that the leadership of the Alabama Senate is just, for the most part, rotten to the core. I mean, they lie, they cheat, I say, defraud the people of Alabama in multiple ways. And you know, you look at Arthur Orr's bill, which if you walk our audience through it, it's just amazing that these two senators, Arthur Orr and Greg Albritton, are so dishonest, and they still have positions of power in the Senate.
Yes, and I'll remind our viewers, we did the gas tax, right? And a number of organizations came out, believed the legislature when they said they would only use the money for roads and bridges, ours included, BCA, and convinced the voters that this was going to be okay. And before they ever instituted the tax itself, Arthur Orr drops a bill to take $10 million out of it to do pet projects in inland waterways around the state.
Yeah, not just $10 million. It was $10 million every year for 15 years. That's $150
Which
million.
made the rest of us out to look like liars. Now, the Senate passed it unanimously for the people that were on the floor that day.
Yeah.
And did nobody pay attention? I mean, we're not... Dredging the Port of Mobile is one thing. That brings income to the state. Dredging marinas across the state is egregious. We need thank you. We need our roads and bridges to convince businesses to come to the state.
I mean, Beth, imagine that you had to do business with a person who looked at you and said, Beth, trust me, I will not take a dime of this money if you will put it into my business. I won't personally take a dime of it. And then all of a sudden you find out, before you'd even give them the check, they were spending your money or wanting to spend your money on something that they lied to you about. Who puts up with that?
Yeah, that's unacceptable. And they're using this kind of like logical gymnastics to say, oh, well, the gas tax money is still going into transportation. We're just taking the existing transportation money and now moving it over here, like which cup is the ball under kind of a thing.
Yeah.
No, money is fungible. Everybody knows this. Taking $1, moving it here, and then this dollar moving it there is just the same thing as moving this dollar over there.
Right.
Quit lying.
Yeah. And so, anyway, the money from the gas tax was supposed to be used for only roads, bridges, and a certain portion of it for the Port of Mobile.
Which we got matching funds on that.
That's right.
Federal
and all of a
matching
sudden,
funds.
Charlie, they changed the rules. Fortunately, Mac McCutcheon, Speaker of the House Mac McCutcheon, and a bunch of people in the House said, no dice, kill that bill dead.
That's one thing that, I was extremely disheartened over the whole thing, because what you look at is, we're trying to inform the citizens of Alabama, that some of which genuinely don't know any better, that they can't trust a lot of their legislators. That's horrible that we have to be here to be like, you can't trust these people. But there, like you said, I'm thankful for those of which who were there to stop it. Those of which you can trust.
You wouldn't buy a car from this guy, right?
No.
You wouldn't buy.
I wouldn't let him wash my dog.
I wouldn't buy lemonade from it.
No. And then you've got,
this guy's robbed your lemonade stand.
Absolutely. And then
Take
you
off
got
the
Greg
quarters.
Albritton, and step in step with Del Marsh, dropping that terrible ethics bill, which did nothing to define a principle. They didn't even change a comma in the definition. And then saying that lobbyists can give unlimited amounts of money, and officials can take it, and all they got to do is report it.
Now,
and then screaming it's all that's just for better transparency.
Yeah, and imagine now,
hogwash.
Orr is the head of the Alabama Education Trust Fund. Albritton is the head of the General Trust Fund, the General Budget Trust Fund. These are the guys that control your money. Greg Albritton said that a bill that gutted the ethics laws was not gutting the ethics laws. He lied. And Charlie, we give him the piggy bank.
I'm genuinely confused on the whole thing. I don't understand why he is the one, but, you know.
And why he is the one is because Dale Marsh appointed him to the position. So did he appoint Arthur? And I believe that Albritton got the seat because he is the senator from Porch Creek.
Right.
That's right.
Let's we not forget the whole lottery, the bogus lottery bill that they did this time.
Oh, yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, that benefited PCI.
Well,
oh, my
they
goodness.
say that they didn't have anything to do with it, and we're going to take them at their word.
I'd like to point out these are all straight white men, and perhaps we change that and change the problem.
It doesn't change the intent of those two men.
I understand. But what I'm saying is, if the leadership is rotten, how can we expect anything good to come out of that?
You can't.
Gotta have good leadership.
You can't. They need
All
to
right.
be replaced.
So Vivian Figures drops out of
Darn
the
it.
race to lead the Democrats. Beth, what is the party gonna do?
Hopefully he's not sitting on the toilet anytime soon. But I mean, so Senator Figures was my first choice for party chair because she has demonstrated an ability to bring people together, and that's what the party needs. I think we have 2 candidates plus Nancy's that are still in the race, and so we have 2 candidates in the race. And I just hope both of them really take seriously the need to bring the party together, whether it's ADC and New South and the ADRC and the Citizens Coalition, and there's untold factions in this party that people don't realize.
Right.
We got to get everybody back to the table.
Well, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking back to what I forget who it was, a comedian who said,
I don't belong to an organized party. I'm a Democrat.
I'm a Democrat. but Charlie, in Alabama, we got that in spades. The Republicans are honed in on a message. They're winning elections. The Democrats can't even get together and decide on who's
running the
baking
show.
pizza, right?
Exactly.
Well, there's also an old saying that says that Democrats have to fall in love and Republicans have to fall in line.
That's true.
And that's what we're looking at.
But I don't see anything. I mean, we only got about 30 seconds, but we would be remiss in not bringing up the Pickens County Sheriff who confessed to wire fraud and filing false tax returns, and he was using a charity to basically get himself
funnel money into his own
pocket. All over the prison foods issue that we've been seeing. Todd Inchikin had trouble with it.
Yeah.
We've seen this time and time again. We got to get this fixed.
Well, they passed legislation fixing it this year, but this guy took all this money and still just walked away with confessing to 2 things.
He took money from a church charity to feed people in poverty in the community and fed the prisoners with it so he could pocket the money that he was being paid for the prisoners.
There you go.
Involve the church. What a heck of a guy.
Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.